a slow roll. 2 weeks into the school year, I asked for permission to visit the bathroom after lunch. "Do you have to go potty?" Ms. Calvin asked. She said that I told her that I just wanted to look in the mirror. A few days later, I wouldn't touch the mouse tastes that Ms. Calvin had put on my plate. She asked if instead I'd be going to the salad bar, where I sometimes got croutons. I tried to hide my grin when I said no. She looked at me carefully and made an expression that I didn't know how to classify. It looked like a frown and a smile at the same time. I could feel her contemplating who I was, and her focus was exhilarating. I loved her and worried that my feelings were unreciprocated. It seemed to me that she preferred the stolid children whose mothers volunteered at school. For the next 2 days, I mostly refused to eat or drink. I don't remember my reasoning, only the reactions of the adults and my vague sense of pride. I got the idea from Yom Kippur, the Day of Atonement, which we'd celebrated the week before. It was the first time I realized that it was possible to say no to food. The decision retained the religious energy from the holiday and carried an aura of martyrdom. I went to Hebrew school 3 times a week and liked to entertain the idea that I had some invisible channels of communication with God. Several times a day, I prayed for my family to be healthy until we were 87 years or older, repeating "me and Mom" several times, because our survival felt most important. I remember walking on the pebbles in my dad's girlfriend's backyard and realizing that every step had been preordained by God. But the epiphany was eclipsed by self-consciousness. I felt that maybe I was having my burning bush moment. The content of the revelation was secondary to my desire to distinguish myself as someone capable of having one. On September 30th, 1988, I told my mom that I was so dizzy I felt I would bump into a wall. I had barely eaten for 3 days. She took me to the pediatrician. "I was thinking, well, they'll give you some fluids and then I'll take you home," my mom later told me. She described me as an exuberant and silly 6-year-old. But my dad's girlfriend, Linda, who became my stepmom, recalled that in her presence, I was the saddest child she had ever known. When presented with activities that she assumed would excite me, I often replied with the same phrase, "What's so big about that?" Linda observed that I had an unusual ability to sit completely still while silently crying, often at the kitchen table. My dad would tell me to eat, and I would refuse, sometimes for more than an hour, until he gave up and drove me to school. My doctor noted that I had lost 4 pounds in the last month. "Until recently, I'd had a normal diet," he wrote, consisting mostly of pizza, chicken, cereal. He described my current accomplishments as running, jumping, riding 2-wheeler. For personal/social, he noted that I was bored. He advised my mom to take me to Children's Hospital of Michigan, in Detroit, where I was admitted for failure to eat. A psychiatrist there described me as a well-developed but very thin female in no acute distress. After interviewing my mother and father, who had divorced a year earlier and were still fighting over custody, one doctor at the hospital wrote, "Her mother states that her father pokes fun at obese individuals, and the father did not protest this statement. My father, on the other hand, proposed that my problem originated with my mother, who was overly concerned with foods. She did stockpile so many whole-grain breads that, when we opened the freezer door, loaves bought at farmers' markets around Detroit would sometimes topple out. But she had a relatively normal, if passionate, relationship with food. Like many women her age, she occasionally tried to diet with flagging conviction. The week before my hospitalization, my mom kept a journal for me. I couldn't write yet, so she transcribed as I talked. But I shared no details about my state of mind, only chronological accounts of my days interspersed with questions like, "Where does a snake's diarrhea come out of?" And, "Why don't people have tails?" My mom, who had recently broken up with her boyfriend, kept her own journal too. That week, she recorded a dream. She was always documenting.